Howdy y'all, I'm going to be cooking another breakfast today. There's going to be a little bit of a twist and turn in today's breakfast that was very unexpected, but I'll explain more in the video, so let's get to it. The morning started off perfect. It started off with chatting with my very best friend. I was taking care of my horse while on the phone with my very best friend, having an amazing time chatting with her, and it was absolutely wonderful. I was done taking care of my horse, coming back to cook some breakfast, and right when I was getting everything ready to go and getting things into the cast iron skillet, I get a phone call of a flooding basement. So I had to run off and take everything off the stove and just make like the bread man and haul buns. And I just had to get going. So unfortunately, there was a little bit of rushing through this, and by the time I got back, I was soaking wet. I was just ready to get breakfast done. And so if things look a little bit rushed at the end, I do apologize. It was not meant to be rushed. Just the latter half of the morning did not go as well as it was planned to be. And actually the last part of breakfast was actually in the afternoon. That's how long it took trying to clear out a flooding basement. So if y'all see stuff that looks like it's kind of retaken, or if it's at a different time than the beginning here, that is because it is. So I do apologize if it looks like it may be a little rushed at the end. It's just because I just taken care of a flooding basement and I hadn't eaten yet and I was just ready to eat. So just a little bit of a warning and disclaimer on that. Getting ready to chop up the sweet chilies. I've really come to enjoy these more lately, and I've gotten better at chopping these without having to slice them up first. And I do like taking the tips off because some of them have a little bit of a dark spot and I don't know what that is, so I just get rid of it. But I've been getting a lot better at slicing these critters up and for it to be not in several slices before doing that. And I do it several different ways. There will be this way, and then there will be a way if y'all watch other folks that are cooking that are actually chefs, and it's up against the backside of their fingers. I'm doing that as well. It just depends on how much one of these is bent, because if they bend the wrong way, then it's pretty hard to cut it that way. So just a little bit of a tip there, because I know all the chefs on the different social medias, they love cutting that way. It may be the best way, but sometimes if something's curved differently, it's really hard to cut that way. So if y'all are having the same trouble that I did, you're not alone. I have the exact same issue. So that is why I'm a lot slower, trying to make sure I don't lose any digits, meaning the ends of my fingers. And yeah, that's why there's several different methods that I do use, because it's a little bit safer, a little bit more efficient. This is one of my favorite parts of breakfasts lately. It used to be omelet making, and I love flipping the omelets. I love getting that perfect result at the end. It's just absolutely amazing. But my favorite part now is caramelizing onions, because I've been using onions a lot more in my breakfasts. Now, yes, I've used onions for a long time in breakfasts, but lately I've just been using them big time. They've just been used left and right, as you all have seen lately, and I just really enjoy it. That's why I've been buying more onions or planting more onions and using the ones that I planted, especially green onions as well, because I've enjoyed the flavor more in them. And I do like the process. It's actually a really nice, relaxing process, sauteing and or caramelizing onions, and these are sweet onions. And if y'all notice, I am using a deeper cast iron skillet. This was given to me by my very best friend. It does help with the scalloped potatoes that come in cans, just a heads up, because they do have moisture in them already. Whereas if you're cutting up potatoes, they don't have as much moisture in them, and they will splatter a lot more. So the high-walled skillets, cast iron skillets, do better this way. There will be a lot of oil still jumping out, going vertically up, but not as much to the side because it is higher walled. So again, using plenty of oil, plenty of butter to get that nice browning and caramelizing of the onions. It's just been something that I've been really enjoying more making, as well as adding the sweet peppers and getting them to blister up, if you will. I know a lot of folks take that as blistering as if it's on the skin of a person, but if you look at the skin of the sweet pepper, or if you're using bell peppers, they will blister up. Or some folks do use chilies, and it will blister up on the skin of the chilies. And it's really good flavoring, in my opinion. I really, really like the flavor when it's blistered up. It's nice and cooked. It's taking the harshness out of it, even though it's not spicy harshness, a little bit of potent harshness. And it brings out that sweetness. And of course, you have the butter and oil soaking in, makes it delicious. And once it starts blistering up, I know it's done. If y'all notice, I did wait for different timing intervals to add different ingredients because different ingredients cook at different speeds, at different rates for various heats. So that is why I added the sweet peppers, the sweet onions, and the bacon bits at different timing intervals. That way they're the way I want them cooked and the timing that I want them cooked. So that way I can add them all at the same time to the tortilla, and they'll all be the texture that I want, the flavor that I want, the consistency that I want. Now, also, if I'm cooking for multiple people, then I will vary that depending on who I'm cooking for. If I know they like a certain flavor, taste, texture, whether they like it more raw, more cooked, I vary it depending on that. But if I'm just cooking for me, then I already know the way I like things cooked and the timing that I put it in. But it worked out perfectly as I was hoping it would because I was absolutely starving. I am drenching wet from cleaning out the flooding basement still at this point. So I've just been looking forward to this breakfast all morning and all afternoon. It's turned out great. I'm very happy with it. I would have been very disappointed if it did not turn out well after doing all this work and it not be fruititious to eat. So it is turned out great. Going to be adding more ingredients here. We're still having our cast iron on medium to low heat. And some folks say medium low, low medium heat. It can be set either way. I don't know if there's a right way. If there is, go ahead and put it in the comments because I don't know for sure. I'm not a professional chef by any means. I just enjoy doing this for fun. But it's medium low heat. It's closer to medium than it is to low. This is 6 eggs worth added. I did add a large heaping spoonful of sour cream in here because it gives it better consistency. It does not really add to any taste. I've not ever tasted the sour cream in there, but it does give it a little bit of extra floofiness. And sometimes I add baking soda, but this was just easier to get to because it was right next to some of the other ingredients I was getting out of the refrigerator. So I added some of the sour cream, and it really did help. If some of y'all don't like sour cream, because I know some folks who don't care for sour cream, this is not an issue because, one, I can either add a different ingredient, or two, you just don't taste the sour cream in it whatsoever. It just gives it more creaminess in the consistency because it's not too much sour cream compared to how much eggs and however other many ingredients may be involved in the mixture. Now that the eggs are all done, they will be added to the assembly line of breakfast burritos. And everything's all set. Everything's still hot. I did make sure that everything was still warm, and it was. It wasn't just lukewarm. It was still very, very warm. The eggs are going to keep it that way, folding everything over. One thing I didn't do once the burritos were put together is put them back in the skillet because there's still a little bit too much greasiness for how much I would want on these. I'm still going to figure out a better way to put them back in a skillet or have an additional skillet, which I'd rather just have one, to put them back in so they get a little bit harder. But one thing that can also be done is you put a little bit of water on top and you can put them in the oven for a little bit. I would not recommend the microwave because then things can get a little bit too soggy. But going to get everything rolled up here. I'm not a professional by any means of rolling up burritos. I'm still very rusty at it, as you all can see. But I do give it my best effort. But I will, in the future, be working on getting crispier tortillas for the burritos. Now, that will be after making burritos, so they will be put back on the skillet. I'll just probably clean out the oil first really quickly, or make sure that the skillet is just cleaner when I bring out the eggs, so that way it just hardens up a little bit the tortilla and just makes it a little bit crunchier, because it's nice when it has that little bit of crunch on it. Not saying burnt, but just a little bit extra crunchiness to it. So everything here looks fantastic. I do have 2 plates set up. The potatoes don't look like much, but these are really big plates. These are TEPCO plates from the 1950s. So they are very large. These are what would be in diners. If y'all watch any of the old school black and white TV shows, this is what you see in the diners, just loaded with food. If it ever looks like there's not too much food on there, it's because they are humongous plates. So these are the breakfast burritos with scalloped potatoes on the side. Hope y'all enjoyed. There will be improvements to the cooking, and I'll be telling y'all what I'm doing to try and improve cooking, because it's a process. It's not just going in the kitchen and making a perfect meal. There's always learning. There's always trial and error. I do like trying things. It's a bummer when things don't turn out right, but that's how you learn, is trial and error. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. So there will be more videos on this, but there will be more cooking videos on other things first. So I look forward to seeing y'all in those videos. Hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know how y'all's breakfast burritos and scalloped potatoes on the side turned out, and I'll see y'all in the next video.